morning, good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to give people a couple of minutes to join before we start. So again, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cities on the Frontline speaker series. I'm Nicole Ponce from the Resilient Cities Network, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all today. Cities on the Frontline is a virtual thought leadership speaker series featuring solutions for cities. It began in 2020 through a partnership between the Resilient Cities Network and the World Bank Group's City Resilience Program. Since then, the series has provided city practitioners as well as the industries and residents they support with a platform for knowledge exchange. We are pleased to continue this collaboration through today's session, co-developed with the City Resilience Program and the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery. We have great panelists joining us today. So we have World Bank Disaster Risk Specialist Ross Eisenberg from the City Resilience Program, Marie-Flore Michel from the Global Program of Nature-Based Solutions, and Pierre Chrzanowski from the Digital Earth Partnership. Before we start, let me quickly remind you, the purpose of this speaker series is to have an open and honest learning conversation. We have around 440 people registered today for the call. So to facilitate the discussion, we ask that you write your questions in the Q&A function of Zoom. We also welcome you to introduce yourself in the chat. Also, please note that the recording of the session and the materials will be posted on our website and the following week. So without further ado, I'll hand the floor over to Tanner Lewis, who is a program officer at the Gates Foundation, and who will help us by introducing the topic and moderating the panel. So Tanner, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole, and thank you to the Resilient Cities Network for hosting this important conversation, as well as to our panelists, Ross, Marie, and Pierre, for bringing their expertise to the panel today. I'm Tanner Lewis. I'm a program officer at the Gates Foundation, which is a philanthropic organization that tackles some of the world's greatest inequities, from global health and education to financial inclusion and agriculture development. And we work through our partners, including the World Bank colleagues presenting today. So I'm as excited as you all are to hear from these experts. My work in particular sits at the intersection of digital development, particularly globally, as well as climate adaptation. So I'm very excited to moderate this conversation on digital public goods for urban resilience because it sits right in the center of my focus area. I wanted to start with a little context on what is a digital public good or a DPG. And the term is derived from this idea of a public good in economics. That's a resource that's non-excludable and non-rivalrous, which means anyone can use it, and one person's use doesn't take away from others. So you can think of clean air or a public park. The key insight behind a public good is that if someone's willing to develop and maintain it, countless others can benefit at no additional cost. The concept of digital public goods is a little bit newer. In 2022, the Digital Public Goods Alliance defined the term as open source software, open data, open AI models, open standards, and open content that adhere to privacy and other applicable laws and best practices, do no harm by design, and help attain the Sustainable Development Goals. To put that more simply, if I can publish something online for free and it has value for development, others can reuse it, build on it, and adapt it for their needs. So I wanted to walk you all through just a couple real-world examples, and then you'll hear about this in action from our panelists. One would be on this topic of open data. If open weather data is available in your local geography, you as a city can warn citizens about extreme weather before it happens. After the fact, you can time things like social assistance payments and emergency response in a more targeted fashion following a disaster. And even in the private sector, there's benefit. For example, a transportation company can better plan their routes if they understand weather trends. So you have this one data set that's published and curated by an entity, and then all sorts of benefits flowing elsewhere. Another example we'll hear a lot more about today is open urban risk assessment tools. And instead of each city commissioning its own report from scratch on its urban risk assessment, What if any city anywhere can understand its climate vulnerabilities for free? If they could do that, they can strengthen their resilience plans, and you end up with one tool with many users all across the world, as well as this idea for it to be globally adaptable to your unique situation. Now, as powerful as this concept of DPGs are, they do need an ecosystem to thrive. They need sustainable financing to build and maintain them so that everyone can benefit. They need training and awareness so that potential users, like the participants here, know that these tools exist and feel empowered to use them. And they require ongoing feedback from users so that these DPGs can evolve and stay relevant over time. So if you end up using a DPG, any of the tools that you hear about today, consider paying it forward by contributing your insights or improvements so others can learn too. I'll hand it over to the panel in a moment. I'll just add to please add questions in the chat at any time. We'll monitor this chat to inform a Q&A session following these presentations. And with that, I'd love to bring in our panelists to share how DPGs are being put to work in cities around the world. We'll start with Ross.
Okay, thanks very much, Tanner, for the introduction, and thanks very much to Nicole and the rest of the RCN team for hosting this really important discussion. So I'll start off with the first presentation, which is called Supercharging Urban Resilience, Leveraging the High-Speed City Scan for Capacity Building and Climate-Informed Planning. I'm Ross Eisenberg. I'm a disaster risk management specialist at the City Resilience Program. We are a global program housed within the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery, which is part of the global practice for urban disaster risk management, resilience, and land at the World Bank. And we provide scalable products and services to our World Bank teams and clients spread out around the globe in really scalable ways in the preparation of and implementation of projects that focus on enhancing the resilience of urban development and urban infrastructure assets. We've worked so far around 350 cities around the globe. One key challenge that we oftentimes see both our teams internally and externally face is really getting enough of a consensus in terms of initiating different urban resilience efforts around the globe to go and prepare urban planning and urban development projects. So we oftentimes see very high startup costs, in part due to very low information base for people to get on the same page with. And at the same time, a lot of high knowledge barriers when it comes to urban climate and disaster risk information. Let's drill down on these challenges a bit more. So when we talk about some startup costs, we can think about some of the costs for accessing localized data. Gathering local data and conducting hazard assessments is oftentimes very slow and costly. And this also raises the question, which Tanner hinted at in the introduction, about the efforts we often see to conduct detailed hazard assessments in order to be able to start engagements, which may cost, for example, a minimum of $250,000 or take 9 to 18 months. And it raises the question of, if you're going to pursue these, then how much effort is going into that at the start, and how much is it going to delay just getting going and being able to build some consensus. We oftentimes also see a lot of data scarcity and reliability issues due to lack of up-to-date, accurate, and comprehensive resilience-related information, which can then hamper risk-informed planning. And there is oftentimes issues with collaboration due to challenges in generating resilience data insights and then incorporating them into urban investment planning due to the highly specialized technical knowledge that this sometimes demands in terms of being able to access and understand and utilize different kinds of data and information that may be out there. So the key question that we oftentimes are asked is, how can we just get going and kickstart different kinds of resilient urban planning and investment planning initiatives very quickly and very cheaply from a very common foundation where we're all on a bit of the same page. And to address that, we have developed our a bit of a foundational product, which we call our City Scan. So what is a City Scan, first of all? What it is a curated diagnostic assessment of any city's socioeconomic, environmental, hazard, and risk conditions. It's produced by our team quickly, cheaply. It's very accessible, and we are constantly evolving it, incorporating the best data sets that we can. What it is not It's not a detailed risk assessment. It's not a tool that will tell you in great detail how many specific centimeters of water is going to flood your building at a particular time. It doesn't include detailed downscaled climate projection analysis. And it's not an investment feasibility study for precise asset siting. And how does it work? Well, it packages predefined global data sets for a particular city area and can do so for any city or any urban area in the world. It then takes these global data and processes and analyzes the urban development and hazard, risk, and resilience characteristics using a pipeline process. It's very and highly scalable to anywhere in the world on a very rapid basis. So this whole suite of maps and analyses can be produced in just a few hours. And it helps to standardize off-the-shelf analyses for replicability to ensure that we can do so on a very scalable basis, but at the same time allowing for room for customization in the event that we do have available any local data that can be incorporated easily. What goes into the city scan? Well, we are constantly keeping an eye out in the market for the best resilience-related and highest resolution, most up-to-date global raster and vector data sets. These come from a wide variety of sources, including satellite Earth observation, academic publications, event repositories, and more. You can just see just a selection of some of the data sources there on the left. We utilize a Google Cloud-based workflow for a more streamlined production of the pipeline. And we also maintain an open code base to enhance our collaboration opportunities within and without our institution. We've so far produced this product just for World Bank purposes and initiatives for 200 cities across 70 countries. And you can see those countries on the map here. And I'll just give a quick preview of what part of the product looks like. It's historically been produced in a sort of PowerPoint and PDF format. You can see some of the layers on the top middle there that go into the city scan. And we've since adapted it into this more interactive online version that enables more of a interactive format where users can select different kinds of layers, zoom in and out of a particular city, and see the specific data points for each data set that's included. The one we're showing here is for a city in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo called the city of Kalemi. And as mentioned, this can be produced really anywhere, and we add our sort of interpretive narrative information to help flesh out the key insights about the city there on the left. So how is the city scan used practically? Well, we see it various and variety of use cases across the different engagements for which we end up producing a particular or a group of city scans. Critically, we see it used to help build dialogue around what the key challenges are that a city and wider regional context face when it comes to resilience, and also to help drive consensus around what those key challenges are and where to begin to focus our investment and policy planning conversations. And these we often see the maps and analyses that are produced use further downstream for different kinds of investment discussions for urban resilience when it comes to both planning and infrastructure decision making. We also see it help drive spatial thinking, and this is really key across different sectors and departments within urban management and urban organizations. So this really helps to get folks who may work, for example, in the water department, transport department, energy departments, et cetera, aligned with the planning folks and other policymakers to understand what are the key challenges and what to do about them. We also see the analyses being utilized in many reports and publications. And critically, we're working more and more on utilizing these inputs for data skills training and for capacity building workshops on risk-informed urban planning and climate and disaster risk preparedness training. So we see a lot of potential to utilize the tool as it is and adapt the methodologies that are contained within for additional applications. And it's those last few applications that I mentioned in terms of the capacity building and skills training that I want to focus on now in one short and quick case study of some recent work that we've done. So this is for Bangladesh in its efforts to help build urban resilience in the context of the World Bank's project, which was called the Local Government COVID-19 Response and Recovery Project. We worked on this in the past year, but it has the COVID-19 reference given just when the project started. So the objective was to strengthen urban local governments' response to the COVID-19 pandemic and preparedness for the future climate and disaster shocks that the cities and urban local governments face. It covered across the entire country, 338 in total urban local government institutions. And a key feature of the project was the development of what are called local climate and disaster preparedness plans, the LPPs, for each urban local government institution, for each of the 338. And as part of that, all investments that are developed for it are screened with a climate resilience checklist. So in order to address the context here in terms of this wide application, 338 cities, we applied the city scan methodology, given its speed, its flexibility, and scalability for this large-scale application of preliminary urban climate and disaster assessment. This was also, we managed to localize the analyses even further to help improve the accuracy and coverage and existing skills and knowledge that were already available in the country and cities by incorporating additional hazard information that was specific to Bangladesh and local data sources as well. And critically, for the capacity building aspects, we developed a whole multi-workshop training program specifically intended to help enable different users, both experts and non-experts, to then understand the city scan development process and adapt it to their own particular projects and contexts. So what was done was we produced a package of maps and graphics for a wide range of hazard and climate risks, including flood, landslide, heat, salinity, and several others. And these were selected in partnership with local experts. Beyond that was the skills and capacity building portion. So as mentioned, the workshop training on, first of all, the utilization and interpretation of different data sets and analyses. So this is really a fundamental aspect in helping the users sort of understand what the different kinds of data are showing. Just because it's a flood model, does that mean, this is where flooding will happen, or this is where it's predicted to happen under different conditions, et cetera. And then also, once we have an understanding of what the different data sets for different hazards and risks mean, actually utilizing them. So utilizing and developing some skills courses for Python and R for actually analyzing and visualizing the hazard and climate data. And then the final piece was incorporating these really into the LPPs. So incorporating into the training and capacity building exercises, greater insights for helping to inform urban planning and disaster and climate risk reduction. So the different options, advantages, and limitations of rapid hazard assessment and climate projections that we included as well. And the incorporation of mapping outputs as insights for local and resilience-driven urban planning and risk reduction. So some of the key outputs and outcomes from this exercise and from this engagement. Well, as mentioned, first of all, we really saw an increase in resilience-related geospatial capacity building. So a lot of local specialists from national departments and local governments were able to gain significant skills and capacity for rapidly analyzing and visualizing hazard data for a variety of risks, and then using those skills to then apply them in any other geography across the country. And critically, the way that this process helped directly inform the local preparedness plans. So the local planners and specialists are now in the process of incorporating the results and insights from our training sessions into these LPPs, which are these really fundamental documents for the purposes of risk assessment, early warning and emergency response, investment ideation and planning, and the implementation of risk reduction measures. So we're really pleased with how this pilot training program came out, and we're keen to pursue additional ones in the future and hope to have a rich discussion with you on other potential opportunities for collaboration. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ross. I'll now hand over to Marie to discuss what I think is a very complementary tool on nature-based solutions.
Thank you. Marie-Flore Michel, I'm a colleague of Ross and Pierre, and I work on nature-based solutions. And today I'm going to give you some information about a very powerful tool that we've developed called the Nature-Based Solutions Opportunity Scan. And I will also show you one example, the Peruvian example. So for those of you who don't know yet what nature-based solutions are, here you have the definition. Basically, it's actions to protect, conserve, manage, restore ecosystems that address societal challenges, including providing human well-being benefits, but also ecosystem services, resilience, and biodiversity benefits. There's a range of different nature-based solutions out there for coastal, cities, mountains, a lot of different ones. I will give you some examples. If you think of a city affected by floods, for instance, you can think of wetlands or mangroves. If you think of reducing heat in a city, you can think of urban forest or green roofs, these types of NBS. So I work in the global program on nature-based solutions for climate resilience. That's a World Bank and GFDR effort to scale up NBS globally. Our main goal is really to support World Bank operations worldwide by integrating NBS in the project, in various types of projects. And we do that using and developing knowledge and tools, such as the Nature-Based Solutions Opportunity Scan tool, and also developing partnerships, strong partnerships. You have on the right side a couple of information on the different countries we've applied that we've helped in our program and the different commitments. Something I wanted to share with you is some of the outcomes that we have in our program. So basically, we helped so far rehabilitate and restore 3 million hectares of ecosystems worldwide, and protecting 35,000 kilometers of coastlines and riverbanks. So we are also really focused on outcome and not only developing tools and knowledge just for the sake of it. So the Nature-Based Solutions Opportunity Scan is similar to the city scan, but really based on nature-based solutions. It's here to identify and map opportunities, NBS opportunities, at the project scale. So for instance, at a city scale. It's using global data sets, thanks to our partnerships, and global models, like global models on floods, for instance, this type of modeling. And it's a pretty precise tool. We can identify opportunities within like 10 to 30 meters resolution, so pretty precise. And we have results in about 6 weeks. So pretty quick as well, which is really, really key in project management and decision making and the project cycle. But this tool is not enough. It's not the end of the story. It's always the starting point of the story, because this tool really helps us engage with governments, and it helps inform really early in a project development, project preparation. It helps inform feasibility studies, design, implementation, different things. But it's not the end of the story. It's the starting point. Just to give you an idea, we've applied this scan to 106 cities so far worldwide, and it's approximately 1.8 billion in project components containing NBS. So it's a really scalable tool and replicable model that we use. We are always looking forward also. The team is really dedicated on this. So we are continuously improving the model. We are extending capabilities of the model. For instance, the very recent thing that we did is to include a biodiversity module inside the scan, but we are extending capabilities. And we also, and that's the point of the discussion today, I guess, it's we really want to open the tool to development partners and to make sure the tool is used a bit broader as well. So that's in a nutshell the different overarching methodology that the NBS opportunity scan uses. So first we start with understanding the problem, mapping it. Let's say a city, we map flood, erosion, we understand the issues. Then step 2, we identify where are the NBS potential locations in the city. So we map them. Step 3, now that we understood the problem, we know where the NBS could be, we assess them, given the different benefits that we want them to have, like erosion control, flood reduction, this type of thing. And then step 4 is really important, is a decision support. It's once we've identified and assessed a range of different topics and benefits, we usually need to prioritize. And given different criterias, including cost-benefit analysis into the scan, and at the end we are able to give recommendation and priorities depending on the country's choice of benefits, etc. So let's show the case of Peru. So that's a very recent case, a very recent example. The country decided to target through this exercise different benefits and different issues: flooding, heat stress, urban green spaces, erosion, and biodiversity. And these were the cities where we actually applied the scan, the nature-based solutions opportunity scan. Right now, I'm going to show you an example of the results that we have for and the methodology that we use for one city, Chiclayo. But this is not comprehensive. This is not the exhaustive package. You need to keep in mind that it's much broader, the scan and the results that we provide to the teams and to the country after. I'm just giving you a glimpse of what it is. So step 1, we understand the problem. So basically here, we understand the flood issue, we understand the heat issue, and we use global models to do that, thanks to our partnerships again. But we do that also for other issues, targeted issues in the city. Then step 2, we map the different NBS locations. So on these particular examples, it's green spaces, protection and creation, but there are others. So that's one of the map, but there are others. And so you can see everywhere in the city some potential for urban green space, for green corridors, for different things. Then step 3, we assess the benefits for each NBS type. So in this case, it's urban forests. And so we've assessed urban forests type of nature-based solutions, given the different benefits. So here you have the erosion benefit, the heat benefit, the health and recreation benefit, and the biodiversity benefits. And we are able to give some insights on and some quantitative insights. And what you can already see at this step is that actually one NBS or like different urban forest identified here are providing different benefits at the same time. So this is already a good aspect of the nature-based solution that you can see here. Step 4, once we've assessed all the benefits and the location and the issues, we now need to come up with recommendation and prioritization for decision-making processes and for really starting the dialogue with the country. And so that's where we have actually a really important dialogue with the country on what are the main issues, benefits they want to address here. And we need to weight these benefits depending on what they want. So in this particular case, their main priority was flood and heat, but they also wanted to consider a little bit of health, erosion, and biodiversity. So we basically are able to weight these different choice and to put that in the model. And the result of the model is the map one, all optimal NBS. So for all the nature-based solutions that we've assessed in this scan, so here we've assessed 5. I only show you the urban forest one, but we've actually assessed the bioretention areas, the green corridor, urban forest, open green space, and terraces. For all of them, you will have all the mapped opportunities for your city. But then usually this is too much. These are too many options at the decision-making level. So sometimes they also ask us, okay, can you prioritize given the really like the highest 20% benefits? And that's what we do also. And you can see that on map 2. And so we come up with a selection of nature-based solutions and locations where the scan assessed that the benefits will be higher. And also you have some costs associated with that also that we integrate into the scan, but I didn't have time to show you everything today. So regarding our discussion today, so you understood that this tool was developed by World Bank teams for World Bank operation. That was the initial reason for developing the tool, and it was very successful. And we really wanted to make sure that this tool was accessible to all cities, low income, middle income, all cities. We are really improving the tool to make it a very user-friendly tool. And we are currently developing an interface, very interactive interface, to make sure that the countries and the users can actually use them directly. It's very adaptable to different needs, different benefits. We are continuously improving the tool, requiring feedbacks and always at the cutting edge science. All this, it's very important for us to really improve the tool. And we do that with a lot of partners. We have impact. But here, my point is, this was a tool for the World Bank operation at first. But now, this tool is successful, it's powerful, it's replicable everywhere. And so now our intention is really to open the tool to others. But it's not as easy as one can think. The tool needs technical expertise for it to run, to understand the results. It needs funding to be able to continuously improve. It needs different things. So yeah, I will stop there, and that will open a discussion, I think. But yeah, that's the intention and the way forward for our team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think this is a common maturity model we see for digital public goods, where you begin with this concept of developing something for yourself, and then you find it has value for others. And so it's great to see the journey you're taking here. I'll just remind everyone before we move on to Pierre to please feel free to add questions to the chat. You can hear my questions, but you all represent cities and probably have much better ones. So please feel free to share any questions you have, and we'll be sure to incorporate them as best we can. I'll now hand it over to Pierre, who will talk about combining open data and open standards with community level insights.
Thank you, Tanner. So I hope you can hear me okay. Just let me know because I can't see the Zoom panel now. So my colleagues just basically presented two tools to scan and discuss kind of an entry point for investments into city resilience. What I'm going to show now is the next step. So basically how to collect the necessary data for refinement of those discussions, so the targeting exercise, solutions, and so on, but also the data needed for the implementation and the monitoring of the solutions. And I'm going to use a use case in Kinshasa, in DRC, Congo, to present that. So I'm Pierre Chrzanowski. I'm part of the World Bank GFDR, and I'm leading the global program on Digital Earth Partnership. So Kinshasa, we are talking about a city that's really rapidly growing with over currently 17 million residents and counting. It should be soon one of the biggest cities in Africa and also in the world. So it's a city that's facing many challenges, that is bordered by the Congo River, as you can see on the map. And also that has also, I would say, a twin city, Brazzaville, which is the capital of Congo, the other country. And so in terms of challenges, many of them are actually climate related. So you can see on that picture, the city is facing really big erosion and landslide issues. You also have a lot of floods from the river, the big Congo River, but also pluvial floods that are really causing a lot of distress for the population. And all that is really exacerbated by the fact that there are a lot of things that are not managed properly, such as, for instance, the issue with solid waste. So here, for instance, what you can see is actually a gully that goes into one of the rivers, the Njili River, and they put solid waste as a way to stop erosion from that gully. So that's really an issue not only for like flood, but also a sanitary issue for the population, as you can imagine. And so what we have done with the city of Kinshasa, the government of DRC, so there has been a decision to put in place an investment program from the World Bank, so $500 million project, to really tackle all those issues at once. But for that, we needed data. So they asked our team to help with that and to help collect, let's say, the key data sets that you need to really face and address those challenges. So what we have done is, so we developed a program with the University of Kinshasa and some other partners to deploy students on the ground and to map as many as possible of the data points that we needed for the urbanization and for the improvement of the city. So we did that with the help of over 300 students, and for instance, they traced the drainage network that is really essential in terms of being able to understand how the flow of water, to understand how the flood impact and so on. And so the students, they did that using open source mobile applications such as QFill and QGIS. They did the same for informal waste dumps. And that was really interesting in the sense that, so not only, we asked them to go on the ground and to map waste dumps that we could see, but also we incorporated their local knowledge into the data point, and that's something that you can't do from the sky. Then we also learned the students to label different data points, such as urban vegetation, using aerial imagery, and we use that to train AI models that then were able to detect and produce maps of urban vegetation for Kinshasa. So as you can imagine, talking about nature-based solution, talking about flood risk and so on, all those data sets are really critical. And in the end, all that will be made available on the as open data. Of course, we are talking about digital public goods on the geospatial platform of the city that we are supporting through that investment of the World Bank. And really, we believe that it will provide critical information to inform not only that investment, but upcoming investment that will support the urban resilience of the city. So now, taking a step back. So we have done that for Kinshasa, but how do we scale up and how do we ensure that all cities in the world have those essential data sets? So that's really where the support from Gates Foundation is going to be essential, in the sense that our goal is really to help track all those, to help all those cities to track data for resilience and to help them to make that available as open data. So what we are going to do is to develop a different set of tools under the umbrella of the Risk Data Library, so that we'll be able to track not only the data sets that are available, but also the data gaps for your city. And then you will also be able to find the methodologies, data collection methodologies that best fit the needs of your city in the context of your city. And we really believe that that approach can also offer a way for local students, people from the government to learn about new ways for data management and data collection that can expose them to new digital skills that are linked to the resilience. And that's really, in the end, the approach that we are taking with Digital Earth, an approach of digital collaboration, strongly relying on digital public goods, and where we are combining, I would say, different sets of techniques. So first, of course, we rely on Earth observation, the satellites, but also the drone imageries. More and more also will consider AI solutions to scale up, apply new models and techniques. But of course, in the end, we'll always need the local participation, not only because we need the local in situ data sets, but also because we need the local knowledge. And in the end, also because the decision-making process is done by local governments, by the communities themselves. So they need to be in charge, and so they need to understand all that process so that they can leverage digital public goods. So I will stop there, and I'm available to respond to any question. And just to finish, I would like also to thank all our partners and sponsors on that use case. So the City of Kinshasa, of course, the University of Kinshasa as well, the European Space Agency, our partners Vito, GSAT, Swiss Re Foundation for the Risk Data Library work, and of course the Gates Foundation that will allow us to continue that journey. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for contributing more questions to the chat. I think we're going to do a quick poll on the topic of digital public goods and then jump into Q&A. Right, looks like the results are in. So the biggest challenge the participants face is lack of funding and financial resources, followed by insufficient data and integration into planning. Why don't we start here? Let's go in the same order as the original speakers, so starting with Ross. Curious your reactions to the poll and your thoughts on the largest barriers for cities incorporating global public goods into their disaster management strategies.
Thanks so much. So indeed, yes, we do see that data is often a key hurdle in terms of being able to understand the key challenges that cities face, and then using it to get on the same page and in discussions that can be used for policy and planning with other stakeholders, which is really key. Part of this comes down to data oftentimes not being the most up-to-date, not being at a resolution sufficient, if it's spatial data, sufficient for planning. And then also oftentimes not being necessarily that accessible. Data can often be sort of hidden away in different kinds of servers or folders on different stakeholders' machines, and not necessarily accessible and scalable. And then when it is shared and accessed, then there's challenges when it comes to being able to understand it and organize it, which is sort of where one of Pierre's points from the Risk Data Library comes in. So we recognize that global data sets aren't going to be necessarily tailored to a particular country or city context, but they provide an excellent starting point if used correctly and for the right applications, to help folks start those investment and planning conversations. There are, of course, challenges in accessing and utilizing those as well, but that's sort of where we feel that we can come in and provide different kinds of capacity support and guidance to anyone around the world for using different global data for the specific purpose of engaging and planning around urban resilience conversations. And we also oftentimes see that the cost of data themselves, but if we can leverage primarily free global data, then this helps to overcome one of the other key challenges that was brought up as a response to the poll too.
Marie, Pierre, anything you'd like to add?
Yes, on our side, our big challenge that we have, right? It's when opening the tool to others, it's not as easy as just putting the code out there and that's it, because we feel that this is not going to solve the issue and will have very limited impact, just putting the code out there. So because for us, we will feel that there is a need of technical expertise to run the scan, to be able to adjust the scan, to really tailor it to different benefits, and at the end of the day, also to prioritize, to maximize the impacts and the benefits for a beneficiary. And also, and this means also funding. If you need technical capacity, technical expertise, you need funding. But a second point I'd like to make is that we are really committed to improving the scan and to extend the capabilities and to make sure that the scan is really, really at the cutting edge of science most of the time. And so to do that, you also need funding to basically improve and incorporate feedbacks and all this. So yeah, I would say technical expertise and funding as really key challenges for us to really make it open and broader.
Thank you. Pierre, I'll change the question a little bit for you. I'm curious, how do you balance the use of global models and global data with local context? And how do you think about data compatibility and data quality as you incorporate sources of global and local data?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, as you saw, when you don't have local data, the only thing you can rely on is global data sets. So first of all, that's why it's key to have global data in the first place. And that's why it's key to have donors that can support those global digital public goods. But then when you want, to go into the details, that's where we all need local data. So you need precise data sets of your networks, of your people, and so on. And so you can't use global data for that. And that's really where I would say you have the difference between government that will be able to not only leverage global digital public goods, but that will also be able to produce their own digital assets, so data, tools, and so on, for their own purpose. But for that to happen, you need a team in place, and that's where often I see the gap. You can have all the best data of the world. If you don't have a team in place and the team that is close to your decision-making process, you are not going to make good decisions with those very good data. So you need to close that gap, and that means you need to have people in place with the right skills. Those skills that Marie-Flore was talking about, skills on urban, skills on the resilience, digital skills. I strongly believe that we are talking about digital transformation process as well. And so for that, it's really also important to advise local government on their budget spending and what are the priorities for them to be able to leverage all those goods, digital public goods, and others that you have out there.
Thank you. Marie, I have a question from the chat for you. There are a few questions about methodology, and without getting too technical, I was curious if you could share some of the factors you consider when determining a high, medium, or low benefit from NBS.
Ooh, that's a tricky one. What I'd like to do is to take the email of the person who just asked the question and ask someone of my team answer that, because there's a better person to answer that. But yes, we like out there. Can I if you know if an urban park will help you reduce a lot the heat and a lot the flood, it will be like a very like high benefit. But if it's just a very low, like if it doesn't really have a lot of impact, then it will be considered low. But then the methodology behind is explained in the report that my colleagues shared in the chat. If you want to have a look at this, or if not, you can send me your email and I will refer that to one of my team.
Great. Ross, I have a question for you now. If we pretend I'm a city, could you walk me through the process of engaging with that city? So who are the different departments and ministries? What level of local participation is required? What are the challenges typically faced, et cetera?
Well, I guess what I would say is that the way we currently work within the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery at the moment is through our World Bank task teams. We provide support through the different engagements and the different dialogues that they hold with the different local partners, the different local departments. Among our support includes the capacity building workshops and other events that we offer in order to help bring more stakeholders to the table, whatever the entry point is. I would say there isn't really one right answer to what is the right department or agency to begin with. What's most important is that you start somewhere and recognize what resources you already have available on the ground, and then work to broaden the conversation and get folks on the same page through common tools that that they can agree on. But what we are trying to do now and starting up now with the support of the Gates Foundation is to take some of these tools that we offer through those engagements embedded within the World Bank and make them more, as you mentioned at the beginning, Tanner, more of a digital public good. We see that happening through a variety of ways. We're still in the process of testing out and thinking through how this may go. But I would say that we once we're able to publish these tools as digital public goods, we'll of course include the requisite and accompanying guidance and examples for how to use them. But sort of in the similar vein, it's really sort of anyone can start, and then we would in our capacity work with the champion from the local department or city that is interested in uptaking these different in uptaking the different tools and exploring how they can be applied for different urban resilience purposes. So I guess the overall message is that there's really not one specific right answer. But what's important is that you have folks who are engaged, interested in making sure that the urban resilience planning work is collaborative and open to using whatever resources are available on the ground for taking it forward.
I see we're right near time, so I'll ask one final question to each of you, and we can go in reverse panel order to mix things up a little. If you all could give a final reflection on the value of digital public goods in this space, and also besides emailing you, what are some steps cities could start taking today to make sure that they're set up well to use digital public goods in urban resilience? Pierre?
Okay. So 2 steps. So first one, please. So I would start with basically an inventory of what I have in my city. So in terms of like tools, digital public goods that I'm using, and so on. And second, I will try to find a partner that can help me bridge the gaps in terms of not only the data set, but also those methodologies, those approaches to improve my city in terms of, again, nature-based solutions and so on. And you do have a lot of partners. So we are there, but there are many out there that can also be, intermediaries. So I would encourage you to do that. And I mean, third, please email us, and we'll be happy to follow up further.
Thank you, Pierre. Marie?
Yes. Not to say the same thing. There's always a tendency out there to duplicate the same tools over and over and over. I would emphasize that really there's no need to reinvent the wheel in most cases. And so it's most effective, I would say, to try to find the right tool out there and find partners to make sure that you can use this tool. It's more cost efficient, I would say, than trying to develop the whole tool by yourself again. So yeah, avoid duplication and find partners that will help you use the tool, run the tool, fund it, etc., etc.
Russ?
Thanks so much. No, I fully agree with my colleagues there. I guess I would add maybe 2 points. One is I would stress really critical to not run towards any particular tools that may be on offer, and instead first do a stock take, as Pierre mentioned, of what are not only the assets that we currently have in terms of data and resilience planning, but also where are we in our processes. And then you can conduct an evaluation, a bit of an internal assessment of what specific tools or platforms or services might help. Just working to build capacity for a specific tool without situating it within an ongoing process and within your ongoing strategy and other planning documents is going to lead to can lead to a bit of a wasted effort. And then the other piece I would mention is don't ignore or don't put aside the potential and power of academic university institutions and youth groups for really all the sort of energy and momentum they can offer in terms of activities and skills and capacity for things like gathering additional local data and utilizing it as part of their educational coursework for expanding and doing better urban resilience planning. Thanks.
Thank you again to our panelists and our hosts. And I really appreciate all of the attendees offering their perspectives and hopefully leaving this session with a little more information than they came in.
Thank you so much, Tanner. Thank you for all of the people connecting today. Just a quick reminder that the materials from today's session will be available on our website, including the recording of the session. Please also watch out for our upcoming session, which is going to be on circular economies, growth and resilience for SMEs, and that's happening on the 17th of April. With that, I'll wish everyone a good rest of your day, and thank you so much again for the panel. Have a good day.